Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. So happy to welcome Phil Moser. He is the author of Free and Fearless, The Amazing Impact of One Precious Life. Good morning, Phil.
How you doing?
Doing well, and so happy that you could join us. First of all, before we get into your book, let's get into you and how are you doing? I have to ask everyone, how are you holding up through this pandemic, this very rare occurrence that we're all going through?
I'm doing really well. I'm also in the grocery business as a category manager, and that has kept me very
Oh,
busy. Right in the middle of this promotion on my book, which has taken off during this pandemic.
wow.
People are looking for inspirational stories and messages, and that's exactly what I've been providing. And so the demand for my story has really picked up.
You've been feeding us spiritually as well as physically through this, and we thank you so much. Um, who are we talking about? This amazing impact of one precious life. Who is that precious life that you're writing about?
Uh, I have two daughters. Camille is my oldest daughter, and this story is about my youngest daughter, Brittany. And she was just a very outgoing, interesting, adventurous, very talented, and just a wonderful human being. And she grew up very busy. She was active in all the sports she could do and any activity she could do. And she became an athlete and a academic honors student. And she got went on to college and got a video production degree
Wow.
with the goal of making movies in the movie industry. And it's a tough business to get into. You either have to know somebody or have some really good experience. So she graduated in 2008, which is not a good time to be entering the workforce.
Anything. That's
Yeah,
right.
she had
Right.
no experience, so she just saved her money up for 2 years
Wow.
until the right opportunity came for her. Her best friend had told her about that she might like it in Colorado. And so in 2010, we packed a car up and we moved her out to
Oh,
Colorado.
boy.
And she found a guy out there that did video productions, mostly wedding videos. She did a lot of
Yes.
wedding videos,
Nice.
and she made some incredible videos. Even her boss was impressed with her insights.
Wow. Yeah.
The way she could capture the world and love was just amazing.
Oh.
And she got to be very good at it. And she did that about 2 years. And she became a little, I guess you could say, frustrated. She was very outgoing and social, and she would have to spend all her days behind a computer editing videos. And she just wanted to see more of the world. She was full of life and loved to explore and go on adventures. And she got a job as a flight attendant. She actually got a couple of offers.
How
And
perfect. That's
and
perfect.
so I was like, okay. And so she picked the airline that she felt most comfortable with. There was the smaller regional flights. And she started flying all over the place. And mostly out of California. And then she was kind of headed in that direction. And so she was making some connections with some people in California
Sure.
and just exploring life and just living the dream.
Yes. Yes.
And she, at the end of her week, she'd call me every week and tell me every place that she went and the people she met. And we stayed close. And
At the time, you're thinking your biggest hurdle is letting go of your little girl. and letting her
Yeah.
pursue her dream.
Yeah,
And you're facing that with all the fortitude that a parent needs to be able to face those days, because it's a challenge to let them go and fly out of that little
she was
nest.
she was still single,
Mm-hmm.
and she had no fear of
Yeah.
anything bad happening. She was just going for it
Yeah. Yeah.
and living the dream, and we were proud of her.
Absolutely.
And she came from the Midwest, where it was very safe. I mean, kind of environment, and she was going to places, big cities, and different environments that she wasn't used to, and she loved the adventure.
And you knew that you had provided her with the kind of foundation that she'd be able to
Right.
stand on her own 2 feet in those places.
Exactly. Yep. And she made very good decisions. She really didn't make any bad decisions. She just was very more adventurous than my wife and I had ever ever dreamed of.
Oh, I
She was
relate.
showing us a part of the world, what the world can be, if you just open your mind and take a chance.
Yeah. Well, there are so many things that happen on this side of eternity that will never make sense to us until we're on the other side of eternity. And Brittany went through one of those things. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, on the flights, after a while, she started getting nauseated on the flights. And first, she just thought it was, that's not that unusual to get motion sickness or altitude sickness. But after a while, it started being every flight. And so she went to the doctor, and they diagnosed her with a rare autoimmune disorder called Hashimoto's. And your immune system it doesn't function properly. And so on an airplane was not the place for her.
Right.
And so she got a job in Denver. She was living in Denver. And after, exploring the world, flying every day and going places, she kind of missed that adventure. And she called me up one day and she goes, "Dad, I got this bucket list of adventures I'd like to do. And you're my best friend. Would you go with me?"
Oh, my goodness. Your reaction to getting that call from a daughter.
She was almost 30 years old. She's still single, and she wanted to do things with me.
Mm.
And I was honored. I was a little taken back of the, I guess you could say, the enormity of doing something like that. I'd never dreamed of doing something like that myself. And I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so every vacation I got, I'd fly out to Denver, and we'd work on this list of 20 places and adventures that she wanted to complete.
Where were some of these?
Almost all of them were in Colorado. She loved Colorado after she moved there.
Yeah.
She really loved the sunshine and the environment of the mountains, and just she was adventurous, and the mountains provided lots of adventures. And so most of them were in the mountains in Colorado. There's some that were popular, like
anything that John Denver sang about, right? Any of those?
Yeah. The Garden of the Gods, that's one of the most popular places.
Okay.
But a lot of them were off the beaten path kind of destinations.
Neat.
You had to hike or they were very difficult to get to. And the criteria for these places were this. They were so beautiful, the natural beauty of them would literally take your breath away.
Mm.
So most of them involved natural destinations.
Yeah.
Hanging Lake, I don't know if you ever heard of that.
No.
That's getting to be a popular. It is a lake that literally hangs on the side of a canyon, and the waterfalls fills the lake up, and then when the lake is full, the whole lake tips
Oh,
and empties out down the canyon, and then it lays back down again, and then it refills.
oh my goodness.
It's very hard to get to, but it's absolutely worth the hike to get there. There's only 2 places like it in the world, they say.
Going to
That does
Google that
that.
as soon as we're done. Going to have to see what
Yeah.
that looks like. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Hanging Lake.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Very cool. What was her
Uh,
attitude of facing this illness?
she was fearless. She didn't even seem like she had an illness. It just kind of motivated her all the more to live life to the fullest.
Do you think if she had not been working as a flight attendant, it might have gone a long time undiagnosed? Did that bring it to her attention so that she could really focus on all these things?
It probably brought it to the forefront, if that's what you could mean. That's what the only issue she had some thyroid issues that she was controlling, and this, they say, kind of came out of the thyroid issue.
Wow.
And so in 2 years, we got 13 of the 20 places done.
Wow.
And we had the time of our lives.
Yeah.
Both of us had the absolute time of our lives. We just focused on doing something that was enjoyable, and we were great company together. It was just the best of times.
Talk to me about that relationship. You clearly had a wonderfully close relationship before her diagnosis, because she called you and said, I want to do this with my best friend, and that's you.
Yeah.
But talk to me now about what that relationship became as you went on these adventures together after the diagnosis.
It wasn't as if when we started this, if there was a certain amount of time that we have to get this done.
Good, yeah.
She was still expecting just to deal with her symptoms and have a basically normal life. We did it out of the joy of living, not out of the fear of something bad might happen down ahead of us. And we had a relationship where, even though we're 2 completely different individuals in 2 completely different environments, she was living in Denver and I was here in the Midwest, that we could not talk to each other for a week or even 2. And when we'd pick up the phone, we would start our conversation exactly where we left off the last conversation. We were that in sync that we never had to get in tune with each other.
Right.
We were always in tune.
There's
And a
something
lot of times-
special about a father-daughter relationship anyway, isn't
there
there?
is.
Just something very unique and rare and precious about it.
I always felt it was special, and I never took it for granted. I always made it the most important thing because I thought it was special the whole time.
Yeah.
There was a lot of times when we wouldn't talk for a week or 2, and I would get caught up with whatever I was doing, and I would start to think about her, what she was doing, and the phone would ring, and it would be her. That happened on several occasions. I just thought about her, and then the phone would ring.
To know that she was thinking of you as well. We're speaking
Yeah,
with Phil.
and that's exactly
Yeah.
what she said. Well, I was just thinking about you. And
We're talking to Phil Moser. He's the author of Free and Fearless, The Amazing Impact of One Precious Life. We'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community. Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas speaking with Phil Moser, author of Free and Fearless, The Amazing Impact of One Precious Life, and that precious life being Brittany Moser, your youngest daughter, talking about fulfilling her bucket list, getting to 13 of 20 in 2 months, in a 2-month period?
yeah,
A 2-year period.
2-year
2-year period. Okay, I was going to say, wow, you guys were really booking it. Okay. So, in 2 years, you were able to complete a good part of her list.
Yeah, about 2/3 of them.
Incredible. Your book itself is just proving to be such an inspiration for so many people for such a time as this. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, she had to deal with a autoimmune disorder, which was like she didn't have a defense mechanism against any viruses or germs. Was highly compromised, and that's exactly what we're dealing with the COVID-19 is we don't have a defense system against this.
We're all there. That's right.
And in her situation, it was all viruses and germs.
Oh, my.
And so it was actually much worse than the COVID-19, and it really this pandemic has brought out what our defense systems, how important they are to us. They defend us every day. They're invisible shields against all the bad germs and viruses that are out there, and they work automatically for you. You don't have to think about it.
Yes.
We're so blessed to have such a powerful system working for us.
Remarkably made. What kinds of special precautions did you need to take as you were traveling together just to keep her healthy, well, so that she could accomplish as much as she did?
She was very in tune with like her disease. She was very intelligent, and she did a lot of homework on her condition, and she did a lot of healthy eating and organic foods. She learned a lot about, I guess, our nutritional system, how it plays effect in our well-being and keeps us healthy, and what it takes to build a healthy immune system.
Yeah.
A lot of things that we eat can help it or hurt it, and she found out that, yeah, some of the things that we shouldn't do.
Yes.
So she was very good in the nutritional part of treating her symptoms.
I'm guessing her doctors were just amazed with her.
Yes, and somewhat no, because there's not a lot of experts that dealt with a lot of these kind of issues. This seems to be a growing problem with our health, is these autoimmune disorders and what causes them. What she discovered was that a lot of people she had a defective gene that caused her Addison's.
Okay.
And a lot of people have that defective gene, but there's something in the environment that triggers it. And she took some blood tests. She found out she was toxic for heavy metals, like lead and mercury. And so she did some studying on what traces of lead and mercury are in foods and how it can affect us. She actually had her metal fillings in her teeth taken out.
Oh, sure.
And it was actually against a lot of dentists' recommendations that you do that, because they said the dental industry would be the first ones to be complaining if they thought that was a factor. But she was convinced that it was, and so she had her metal fillings drilled out and porcelain ones put in.
Well, if you know for
thinking
sure.
It would give her,
yes.
give her some relief.
If you know that metal is not good for you, then I think you would want to rid your life of as much metal as you possibly could. That just makes sense.
That's what she concluded that contributed to the progression of her disease.
Well, I would think as a grocer that this was very interesting to you as well.
It was.
And has that impacted how you do business?
Well, I look at things too. I look at things somewhat how she looked at things, what was harmful, and she was organic. She ate all organic stuff. She didn't like any pesticides or herbicides or artificial things in her foods. And she also took detoxifiers that would, if you had any toxic metals or any impurities in your body, that would help clean that out.
Smart.
And she said it gave her relief. It helped.
Yeah. Talk about the impact, additional impact. We certainly see her life had an impact on you, her dad. Her life had an impact on a lot of people. Tell us about that.
She was a very warm person, and a lot of her friends said, I knew she was going to be my best friend in like 30 seconds. You could get to know her that quick. She was very upbeat and positive, and she just gave off that vibe that you wanted to be around her. She was full of life and enjoyed having a good time and fun, and she was very intelligent on top of it.
Yeah. Wow. You raised an amazing young lady. How was it for you, Phil, writing the book? Was it cathartic? Was it helpful and healing? Was it a little painful to go through and relive some of those harder times?
A lot of people ask me that. How could I relive? But it still gets back to she gave so much joy and inspiration that I still hold on to and live every day. That the joy outweighs the fact that she was cut short in life.
Yeah.
She lived a short life, but a positive one that impacted a lot of people, and she was okay that if she only got 32 years.
32 years when you're just getting started at 32.
That's exactly right.
And she really packed it all in there.
Mm-hmm.
Towards her last days here on Earth, talk about your relationship. Did she know that she was coming close, and did that give you some special moments together?
Yeah. After the 2 years that we completed the 13 adventures is when she started getting sick, and she got very sick. She got so bad she could hardly walk or even get out of bed. So she went to the emergency room, and they couldn't find anything wrong with her.
Really?
They thought, she told me that they think that she was faking it and just wanted some medication. Like some people come into the emergency room wanting medication, they'll fake being sick, and that's the way she explained it to me, that they did not treat her as life-threatening, and so they just sent her away. They didn't see a life-threatening condition or couldn't find anything.
Because they're not that familiar with this particular disease.
Right. And so she went and did her homework, and she was the one that figured out that she thought she had Addison's disease. And so she got so weak she couldn't walk, and she did have a boyfriend at this time. She was scared of being alone, and so he had to carry her into the emergency room, and once again, they couldn't figure out anything wrong with her. And so she told the doctors, look, I've been looking my symptoms up online. I think I have Addison's disease. And that kind of took them back, and they said that we highly doubt that because we've never even had that disease or seen it in Denver. But we can take some tests to find out since they couldn't find anything else out. 2 days later, they come back and they told her, Brittany, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what you have. So she had to diagnose herself. And nobody should have to get to that point.
No.
They said that she had the lowest blood pressure they had ever seen in a person that was still alive.
Oh, my goodness.
That she had almost passed away.
They had to feel awfully sheepish and very sad about their own level of professionalism at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, my. So what happened next then? Did they
The
go?
only thing they could do for the Addison's is your body doesn't produce cortisol. It's a natural hormone that your body needs to regulate a lot of your bodily systems. And so they could supplement it with steroids. And so they give her steroids to replace the cortisol that her body wasn't producing. And she had a tough time with the steroids. Steroids is not a I want to say it can have some dramatic side effects.
Well, and when she was eating so much healthy food and everything natural
Right.
and organic to put something so synthetic inside herself, probably
Yeah.
the body had to.
Yeah, it went against
Yeah.
her natural way of life thinking. And she had some dramatic. She said the steroids were the side effects of steroids are almost worse than the disease. And so she cut back some on the steroids to try and find a healthy balance that she could live with. And so she did, and she found a kind of a middle road there where she could balance the symptoms with the disease.
She
And so
really
she
was
started-
doing her own work on her own body, taking really
Yeah.
charge of her
Yeah,
own health
she
care.
did. Right. She felt that she was going to have to. She was going to be the one to be in charge of her health, and
Yeah.
because there wasn't a lot of information and experts that could help her with this, she felt pretty alone with it.
Yes. Well, again, just always an inspiring young woman. Phil, who is this book for?
It's for a couple of people. One, I never want anybody to have to go through what she did before she got diagnosed with Addison's. And so I'm trying to bring awareness to Addison's disease to the medical community
Yes.
and support those that do have it. And I'm also trying to share the same positive inspiration that she gave to me for 32 years, because it is the strength that you need to deal with anything that life throws at you that's very, very difficult. And the final thing that I'm trying to accomplish, she had a degree in video production, and she made amazing videos with the goal of working in the movie industry. To me, the ultimate goal would be to have a movie made of her life and her inspiration,
Yes.
and bring awareness to Addison.
Oh, my. What a beautiful idea and what a wonderful tribute to her. Amazing. All right. Well, we are going to just agree in prayer that all is going to happen. We're speaking with Phil Moser, Free and Fearless, The Amazing Impact of One Precious Life. Phil, where can we get this book? I'm guessing Amazon and all.
Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, there's also I have a web page,
Okay.
www.freeandfearlessbook.com. There's a lot of information there, and something very special to me. She made videos, and so I made a video to honor her, and it's on that website.
Awesome.
It's on YouTube, and so you have a link to the video that I made personally to honor her. It's very touching. I'll have to say that, but I'm very proud of it all at the same time, because she inspired me to do something that I didn't think I could do.
Wow.
Was make videos. I wanted to make one for her,
Awesome.
and so I did that.
Go to freeandfearlessbook.com and click on that YouTube video. Check out the book. Share it with someone who needs this today. Phil Moser, thank you so much for bringing this to our community.
Well, thank you for asking me.